Sometimes, when I watch a movie for this show, I end up really hating it. This is one of those cases. Night Fright is a movie from 1967, and yeah, I hate it. And I am happy to tell you why. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. And on this episode, I'm going to be talking about Night Fright, a movie that tries to be a science fiction horror film, but comes up short in pretty much every way, so much so that I found it genuinely frustrating to watch. It's only an hour and 15 minutes long, but it feels so much longer than that. It is so dull and boring that by the end of it, I felt tired from trying to pay attention. I feel with really great movies, you just have to sit there and just let the experience unfold. You know, they're so engaging that they grab your attention. They demand it. But then there are movies like this where it feels like work and you really have to struggle to keep your attention on the screen. It's awful. This movie was directed by James Sullivan, who was the editor for Manos, The Hands of Fate. It stars John Agar, a well-known B-movie actor who appeared in a bunch of movies and TV shows and has even been featured on this show already. There wasn't a lot of information that I could find on this movie. I have no idea how widely released this movie was. I couldn't really find an official poster for it, so I don't know if it was in theaters or just drive-ins, or if it just appeared on TV, seeing that it's only an hour and 15 minutes. I did find this DVD sleeve, and man, is this ever wishful thinking. If only the movie had anything this interesting in it. But no, the movie is a total snooze fest. I'm really not going to sugarcoat it. I know a lot of you really like the videos where I just come out swinging, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of those videos. You all know I try to be as fair as I possibly can. And this one's tough. Some of you who have already seen this movie might be thinking, okay, come on, it's not that bad. Well, it was for me. I genuinely hated this movie. And I think the main reason was because it was just so blah. I mean, I have featured many low-budget sci-fi movies on this show that are really weird and have some pretty crude special effects, but I'll give them credit if they were at least somewhat interesting. Night Fright is not. The movie starts with some young people making out in a car at what is supposed to be nighttime, when suddenly something comes out of the bushes and kills both of them. Anyways, now we have Judy and Sue at their sorority house, laughing about something Sue told Judy about Judy's date, Chris. And from what I can gather, it kind of sounds like Chris wasn't willing to pay for something and Sue had to pay for it. So Chris arrives to pick up Judy and starts talking to some of the other girls at the sorority that he's familiar with. Of course, Judy tells Chris that she's okay with him talking to the other girls he's dated as long as it's just talk. And, you know, nothing sexual. Wow, talk about strict. And Chris is like, okay, I thought for our date we could go for a drive in the country. Now, I bet there are some people out there who might be thinking that this Chris guy sounds pretty cheap. Well, maybe, but hey, by the looks of it, he is going through and dating everyone in that sorority. And that could get pretty expensive after a while.
This is more like it.
Yeah, all we need is a loaf of bread and a jug of wine. Gee, we're really in the wilderness.
Yeah. Making a Coke and Thou. We got it made.
Ew, you dirty young man. Come on, let's get next to nature.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think you're doing? She's not here to make out with you. She's here to get close to nature and consume bread and wine by the jug. Which is really the best way to consume it. See, that's how you know if someone is no nonsense when it comes to drinking, if they show up with a legit jug. Bonus points if it has the 3 X's on it. See, that person is either super fun or a complete disaster and you're gonna have the worst night of your life. There's really no in between. So Judy is like, this is so nice. You know, hanging out in the woods when there's no leaves on the trees, just wood and bare branches everywhere. It's the best time of the year. Judy starts talking about how she heard on the radio that this is where a flying saucer landed, and Chris is like, they never said saucer, they said flaming object. That could be anything.
Okay, boys, I'd like to think it was a flying saucer with little green men that come to say, take me to your lair.
You know, Judy, you are lucky that I am not Chris, because I would have gotten into the car and driven off without you by now. You are just insufferable. First, demanding a loaf of bread and a jug of wine. A full loaf? Who does that? What do you think, this guy is made of money? And now all this talk about the aliens being little green men. You know, Judy, that is based on a stereotype. You don't know what color they are. Unbelievably offensive. Not to me, though. I just thought it was weird the way that you said it, and I never want to hear you do that squeaky voice again, so yeah, see you later. So then their friends show up, and they're like, yeah, we thought we'd find you out here. This is quite the popular spot off the side of the road. Hey, we're going down to the lake to dance and forget our worries. You should come with us. And they're like, no, we'll catch up with you later. We just got here, and there's so much to see. I mean, look at all these twigs. And there's so much to talk about, like how our professor seriously injured himself recently.
All right, class. Now that I have succeeded in fracturing my left fibula, my right tibia, several vertebrae, as well as caving in a portion of my rib cage, we might as well continue with the oral examination.
Oh, Chris, you sound just like him.
You think that's funny? Chris and Judy? You know, one day, the two of you are gonna be old. And getting old sucks. You're always finding new and surprising ways to injure yourself that you didn't even think were possible. And what kind of a person laughs at an old man getting hurt? Total psychopaths. I hope you both die. Anyways, they start to play hide and seek in the woods, but they both really suck at it. And this is when they discover, I don't know, I guess the dead bodies of the people from the opening scene. So now we have Sheriff Clint Crawford, and he's all pissed off because these government agents are investigating a rocket that crashed near this location, and they won't let him look at it. And he's like, come on, let me see it. And they're like, no, you can't see it, and neither can the audience. We're on a low budget here, remember? Anyways, now Alan Clayton shows up. He's a professor of biology at the university. Can't you tell? He's smoking a pipe. And he's like, yeah, the feds called me in. But then suddenly the sheriff gets a call that there's a murder they have to check out at Satan's Hollow, the location from the opening scene, which quite honestly I thought was this location because, well, 95% of the movie so far has taken place in locations that are right off the side of the road and pretty much look exactly the same. So they show up to the scene and they're told that the girl's face is so chewed up that there might not be enough left to identify. And wow, sounds like this is going to be a movie with some really intense moments and some pretty gruesome deaths. No. So then Wes, the reporter, shows up and he's like, hey, what's going on? A murder or something? And they're like, yeah, now help us look around to find out what happened. You want the scoop, don't ya? So they all start looking around, each of them covering a different area. And this goes on for a really long time, but that's okay because I'm sure something interesting is bound to happen. You know, other than the sheriff finding some pigs. And eventually they find some tracks, unlike anything they've ever seen.
Call Pat. Tell him to bring some plaster out here so I can make a moulage of these tracks. Tell him to make it snappy.
Right.
Oh, and Wes, don't say anything about this to your newspaper. At least not for the time being.
And you know I haven't...
Look, Wes, I mean it.
Yeah, Wes. What kind of a reporter are you? We asked you to stay and help us comb through the murder scene so that you could help us with our investigation, not so that you could run back to your little newspaper and write about it. I mean, why would you do that? Because it's your job? Oh, I see. It's all about money with you, isn't it, Wes? You know, you reporters are all the same. Always looking for news to report so that you can earn a living. So the sheriff goes right back to looking around the woods and finds some fuzz on one of the trees. And once again, this searching around goes on for a while, and by the looks of it, he's being watched by the monster, or whatever killed those two people. But it's just too bad that the sheriff can't see it because, well, I don't know. I guess all the trees and foliage is obscuring his vision. Okay, so now we got these kids, and just look at this rowdy bunch driving recklessly down the road, almost running over the sheriff, and they're like, we're going to barbecue and listen to some records. And Clint is like, oh, no, you're not. You gotta leave this area immediately. People died around here, and there's tracks and fuzz on the trees. So, turn it around.
We heard there was some action out this way last night.
Yeah, flying south or something, so we thought we'd come out and see it.
The state fuzz up the road there wouldn't let us near the place.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you kids to forget the party and go on back to town.
Now, wait a minute, Clint. Just because you may be my future brother-in-law doesn't give you the right to tell me what to do.
Yeah, it's 1967, and it's a free country, which means we can do whatever we want. Who do you think you are, Sheriff? You're out here acting like it's your job to police people.
Look, I haven't got time to stand here and argue. You'll have to forget the party, I mean it.
Well, that's no fun. I didn't realize it was against the law to have fun, Sheriff. Oh, what's next? No more drinking while driving? And what else? Starting next year, every car is going to have a little belt inside that you have to wear so that you don't fall out of the car? And what happens if we don't want to wear the belt, Sheriff? You gonna write us a little ticket?
I'm going to give you about 1 minute to turn this car around and get out of here.
Well, there you have it, folks. No more freedom, and all because the fuzz was walking around the forest and found some fuzz.
Look, punk, don't ever call me Fuzz. When you talk to me, call me Sheriff. Now get out of here.
So Clint goes to the hospital to tell Joan, his fiancée, that he's going to have to cancel their dinner date for tonight on account of the murders. And he's like, by the way, you gotta tell that sister of yours to stop hanging around with that Rex Bowers and his stupid hair. The kid called me Fuzz, Joan. Fuzz! Cops don't like being called Fuzz, Joan. It's like, what if someone started calling you Hairhead? Anyways, back at the, malt shop. The kids are pissed off because Clint ruined their big plans of dancing to music. So they're like, you know what, we should just go out to the lake and start dancing to music anyways. Yeah, screw what the sheriff says. He can't stand on the side of the road stopping us forever. And if he does, we'll just run him over. For real this time. Back at the station, Clint is like, hey, get Alan on the phone. The professor. I need someone smart to talk to. And Wes is like, hey, can I go? I kind of got a job to do, writing for the newspaper. And Clint is like, oh yeah, sure, but don't print anything about anything that you saw today. And Wes is like, what the hell, man? I spent my whole afternoon helping you and I don't get anything out of it?
I might as well go back to the office. Wes, this is for the state crime lab. Drop it off for me, will you?
Sure. Anything else?
No, that's all. Now, don't forget to drop it off.
Yeah, Wes, don't forget. It's very important. I would do it myself, but, you're kind of going out that way, and I want to get as much free work out of you as possible. So Chris goes to pick up Judy, and she's like, oh, Chris, I'm so messed up after seeing those dead bodies. And he tells her that she should eat something. That's always the cure for trauma. And she's like, okay, I'll try. I honestly mean that. Hopefully the restaurant we go to has better lighting than this scene, otherwise I won't be able to see the food. At the diner, they find out that all of their friends are going out to the lake, and Judy is like, well then we better go to the lake and tell them all to stay away from the lake. And they're probably gonna have a tough time doing that because the dance party is already in full swing. Just look at them go. No, seriously, you're gonna have to look at them because the next scene is almost 2 solid minutes of just people dancing in the dark. Clint is looking at the mold of the footprint with Alan, the professor, and he's like, yep, it's similar to an alligator print, but there's certain differences. And then he decides to go make himself a drink, and I would recommend to anyone watching the movie to do the same thing at this point, because we're halfway through, and I'm telling you right now, it's not leading up to much. Nope, just a lot of boring scenes, day for night shots that are really poorly done, and waiting for something to happen. Anyways, Joan comes home to find a note from her sister telling her that she's gone to the lake. And Joan is like, oh my god, I have no idea what this says. I never learned cursive. Maybe I can call someone who can read it and not think less of me. Meanwhile, you'll never guess what's happening at the lake. More dancing. Yep, If you're still awake by this point, I have to give you some credit because none of this is interesting or the least bit suspenseful. I mean, yeah, there's some ass shots in here, but, you know, come on. Hey, wait, what's happening now? Somebody is driving somewhere and then the monster attacks them, I guess? I don't know. I can't see anything. Honestly, this is one of the most frustrating things about this movie because, look, I get it. They were trying to shoot day for night, but a lot of these shots were way too underexposed. And of course, they were shot on a day where the sky was super clear and the shadows were super harsh. And then mixed in with that, you have shots that were exposed to a higher degree. So in the end, it's just kind of a jumbled mess that never really gives off the illusion that it's nighttime. I would much rather have all of this be just properly exposed and be able to see what's going on. And yeah, it would look like daytime, which isn't that scary, but none of this is scary anyways. It's just visually frustrating for the audience. Okay, so what happens now? Chris and Judy arrive at the lake and they're like, hey, you guys shouldn't be here. And everybody is super pissed off because they're sick and tired of all these people telling them not to go to the lake. They can go wherever they want, god damn it. So obviously this leads to a fight because back in the 60s, people took their dance parties pretty seriously. And you know what? Good. Because there is 25 minutes left in this movie, and so far this is the most exciting thing that has happened that we can see. So at least something is happening. But it doesn't last very long because Chris kind of hands Rex his ass on a platter. And before Chris and Judy leave, they tell everyone that if they stay there, they're in danger. Huge danger. Massive. From what exactly? We don't know, but, yeah, danger. So Rex is acting like a little bitch because he lost the fight. And Darlene tries to comfort him, asking him if he's okay. And he's like, no. Why do you have to keep hitting me? And this is when the two of them are attacked by the monster, I guess. I mean, again, I can't really see what's going on here. Kind of important for the audience to be able to see what's happening. And if I sound like I'm being extra pissy about it, I am. This movie has been so boring and uneventful, and when stuff with the monster actually does happen, you can't really see it. This is supposed to be like the first big attack where the monster is revealed, and there's no suspense to this chase because the audience can't even see the information that the movie is trying to provide. Is the monster getting close to the people it's chasing? No idea. It's amazing how long this goes on, and it's never really that interesting. At one point, the monster is chasing Clint and even manages to strike him. Clint falls on the ground, and the monster just stops. So he just gets up and runs away, and that's the end of it. So, yeah, cool. Alright, so there's 15 minutes left in this stupid movie, so the odds of it delivering a satisfying conclusion are not good. I mean, it hasn't even delivered anything to get excited about concluding yet. I just want it to be over, my god. So Clint comes up with the idea of strapping a bunch of explosives onto a mannequin or something, and they all stand around and wait. Again, not suspenseful, not exciting. Even Judy can't manage to stay awake during all of this. And yeah, now you're just gonna get a bunch of shots of people hanging around. Probably just as bored as the audience. God, this sucks. I guess during all of this non-excitement, Chris doesn't notice the giant monster approaching the car, so they get attacked and have to run away. And finally, the monster walks up to the mannequin and it blows up. The end. Oh, wow. Boo. So the explanation for the monster is that NASA sent a rocket up into space filled with a bunch of animals to test the effects of cosmic radiation on living creatures, but then they lost communication with it, and 6 months later it re-entered the atmosphere and came crashing down, and all the animals inside had mutated, and I guess that's what made this monster. Overall, don't watch this movie. I'm just gonna be honest with you, I didn't like any of it. I think the only redeeming quality that it has is its 1960s aesthetic, you know, with the hair and the clothes and the cars, that sort of thing. But the movie itself is dull. It feels like it stretches on forever, even though the runtime is super short. And as I mentioned before, and as you could see, it's not even visually interesting. And it's weird because the story really calls for suspense and mystery, and it had none of that. I think it tried, it just failed miserably at it. It's not a so bad it's good movie, it's just bad. It's bland in pretty much every way possible, and I'm so glad that I never have to watch it again. I want to thank all of my supporters on Buy Me a Coffee, Patreon, and my YouTube channel members. I want to thank all of you for tuning in, but that's pretty much it for this one, and I'll see you all next time.